This is one of the hardest videos I have ever recorded. Not because the information is complicated, because I know exactly what happens on the other side of that door.
And I have seen it go wrong more times than I can count. Not in dramatic ways, not in movie ways, but in quiet, irreversible ways that started with a knock and ended with a person standing in their own hallway, wondering how they got there. There was no dramatic confrontation, no shouting, no threat. Just a door that opened too fast, a conversation that moved too quickly, and a moment that shifted before the person inside even understood what was happening. That is the version nobody talks about. The version where everything looks polite on the surface and the damage is invisible until much later.
I spent years on the other side of that door. I know what the approach looks like, what the pause before the knock sounds like, what the officer on the porch is watching for.
And I am recording this because the gap between what most people know and what they actually need to know in that moment is not small. It is enormous. And most people never find out how enormous it is until it is already too late. They think cooperation means compliance. They think opening the door is the safe move. They think that being friendly and agreeable will protect them. Sometimes it does. But sometimes, in the specific kind of encounter this video is about, being agreeable without being informed is exactly how a routine knock becomes something much harder to walk back from.
A knock is not a command. Most people treat it like one. They hear it, see the uniform, feel their pulse, go up and open the door immediately, fully, without asking a single thing.
And the moment that door swings open, the encounter has already moved forward on terms they did not choose. The physical space has changed. The conversation is now happening inside your threshold, not outside it. You have signaled willingness before you have asked a single question. That signal matters, not because the officer is automatically looking for something, but because the situation itself has a different shape now. And once that shape exists, it is very difficult to return to the moment before the door opened.
There are 6 words that can change that, spoken calmly before your hand touches the handle. Those 6 words are, "Am I required to open this door?"
That is it. I know what you are thinking. That is it? Yes. That is exactly why it works. It is not aggressive. It is not a refusal. It is not a legal lecture delivered through a closed door. It is a calm, direct question that puts the weight of explanation where it belongs, on the reason for the visit. Before you have moved, before you have consented, before you have said one word that could be used to justify what comes next. 6 words, not a speech, not a confrontation. A question that pauses the moment and forces it to define itself before you have given anything away. That pause is the entire point.
But those 6 words alone are not enough. If this information matters to you, subscribe right now. The people who need this most rarely know it yet.
The timing, the tone, the follow-through, and the system behind it. That is what this video is about. A single phrase without context is just a line someone memorized. What makes it work is understanding when to say it, how to say it, what to do after you say it, and what to do if you already said something else. That system is what the rest of this video is going to give you. Let me start with 3 conditions that make this kind of encounter genuinely dangerous. Not dangerous because the officer at the door is necessarily doing something wrong, but dangerous because of the situation you allow to form around you before you have any clarity about what is being asked. These conditions do not require bad intentions on either side. They form out of speed, nervousness, and the ordinary human desire to make an uncomfortable moment end as quickly as possible. Recognizing them is the first step in not letting them control what happens next. The first condition is no documentation. No one knows you are having this conversation. No recording running. No neighbor visible. No one you texted 10 minutes ago to say the police are at my door. When there is no record and no witness, everything that happens next exists only in competing accounts, yours and theirs. You want a record, not because you are planning a lawsuit, because the record is what keeps both sides honest. It protects the officer doing the right thing, and it protects you from the consequences of a misunderstanding that no one can verify afterward. The absence of documentation does not just hurt you. It removes clarity from the entire encounter.
The second condition, not knowing whether the knock is voluntary or compelled. One is a conversation you can decline. The other is not. When you don't know which one you're in, you decide based on pressure, not facts.
The third condition is the open door itself. Once the door is open, fully open, swung wide, no chain, the encounter has moved inside your threshold. Physically and legally, that matters. The conversation that happens inside your doorway is different from the conversation that happens through a closed door. Once you have opened it, you cannot unopen it. The moment has already shifted. This does not mean something bad will automatically happen. It means the encounter has a different structure now, and you entered that structure before you understood what you were entering. None of these conditions require the officer to do anything wrong. They are traps that form out of nervousness, politeness, and the very human desire to make an uncomfortable moment end quickly. That desire is the most dangerous thing in the room, not the officer, not the uniform, not the knock. Your own need for the discomfort to stop. That is what opens the door before you are ready. 3 things you do before anything else. First, do not open the door before you ask. You can speak through a closed door. You can speak through a door cracked to the chain. In most jurisdictions, keeping your door closed while speaking to an officer is not obstruction. It is a physical boundary that gives you time to understand what is being asked. Use it. Standing behind that door for 30 more seconds will not make the situation worse. Opening the door before you know why they are there might. The door is not a barrier between you and cooperation. It is the only moment you have to ask before the encounter moves forward without your input. When an officer is standing on your porch with a flashlight and possibly a partner, the pressure of the situation creates noise. The tone, the impatience, the silence. It all feels like a command. Your job is to filter that out and respond to the actual content. What is the reason for this visit? Is there a warrant? Is this voluntary? Those are the questions that matter. Not how long the silence lasts. Not how firm the voice sounds. Not how official the posture looks. The answer to those 3 questions determines your next move, not the emotional pressure of the moment.
Ask the 6 words before you explain yourself. And third, listen to what is actually said, not to the tone. The officer's irritation is not an answer.
Now, I need to talk about the 3 ways this encounter can be pushed out of your control. Because understanding the pressure is how you stay steady inside it. None of these are accusations. Some of them are intentional. Some of them are just the speed of the situation. Either way, recognizing them gives you the chance to respond instead of react. The first is urgency framing. Just open up. This will only take a second. Don't make this difficult. These phrases are designed to make you move before you think. They work because they attach a small social cost. You are being difficult. You are slowing things down to the act of asking a simple question. Do not let the word difficult scare you into compliance. Asking for the reason for a visit is not difficult. It is reasonable. An officer who is there for a legitimate reason has no problem stating what that reason is. The urgency is a signal to move fast. Your job is to slow down. 2 officers instead of 1. A flashlight. The weight of the moment. No one says anything for 4 seconds, and those 4 seconds feel like a minute. And the discomfort of standing there with the door closed and saying nothing feels unbearable. So you open the door, not because you decided to, because the silence decided for you. Do not let silence make your decisions. Let your question make your decisions. Silence on a porch is not an order. It is not a command. It is air. You are allowed to stand in it, without moving, until you understand what is being asked.
The second is casual tone, friendly voice, nothing serious, until it is. The third is silence and presence. 2 officers, a flashlight. Don't let silence make your decisions.
If you know someone who opens the door before they think, send them this video right now. They may not know they need it. The best time to learn this is before the knock, not during it. Here is the decision tree. This is the part where you understand exactly where the path leads, depending on what the officer says next. Every encounter has a branch point. Your job is to identify which branch you are on before you move. If the officer provides a clear, specific, lawful reason, there is a warrant, there is an emergency, there is a named and specific reason that makes sense and is stated plainly. Your response is calm compliance. Move slowly. Announce your movements if you are reaching for anything. Do not keep arguing the point. Do not turn a moment that has a valid legal basis into a personal contest. The phrase was a question, not a wall. Once the answer is clear, you comply correctly and carefully. Safety first, always. The goal was never to refuse. The goal was to understand.
Clear reason given. Comply calmly, move slowly. Vague answer, use the follow-up. If irritation rises, steady voice. Repeat cooperation. Prioritize safety above all.
If the officer gives you a vague answer, routine check. Your neighbor called? Just a few questions. I just need a minute. You use the follow-up phrase. I'm not refusing to speak with you. I'd like to understand the reason for the visit first. This is not a confrontation. It is a continuation of the same calm question. You are still cooperative. You are just not cooperative without clarity. There is a difference between those two things, and understanding that difference is the whole point of this video. If the officer becomes irritated, if the tone shifts, if the patience wears thin, if the pressure increases, you do not mirror it. You do not raise your voice. You do not debate from your doorway about what your rights are. You use one more phrase, and you hold your position. I understand, officer. I'm going to cooperate fully. I just want to make sure I do that correctly. Then you stop talking, and you wait. Mirroring irritation is the fastest way to turn a manageable situation into an unmanageable one. Your calm is not weakness, it is strategy. The decision tree is simple. Clear reason, comply calmly. Vague answer, ask for specifics. Irritation, steady voice, repeat cooperation. Prioritize safety. You are not refusing automatically. You are asking for the information you need to cooperate correctly. 3 branches. You will know which one you are on within the first 30 seconds.
Now the 3 mistakes. These are the things people do after they've learned the phrase, and that still costs them everything.
The first mistake is saying the right words with the wrong energy. The phrase, "Am I required to open this door?" delivered with sarcasm, with an edge, with theatrical exasperation, is not the same phrase said calmly. It does not create a pause. It creates a problem. The officer does not hear a reasonable question. They hear a challenge. The words are right. The tone destroys them. Your voice, your pace, the absence of aggression, those are part of the phrase. Without them, the 6 words are just noise. Tone is not decoration. Tone is content. The second mistake is moving while asking. You say, "Am I required to open this door?" while your hand is already on the handle, while the door is already cracking open, while your body is already leaning forward. The movement contradicts the question. Whatever the officer says next, you have already answered for yourself. The pause the question was meant to create. You canceled it with your own body. Say the phrase before you move. Stay still while you say it. The stillness is part of the answer. Your body and your words need to say the same thing at the same time. The third mistake is talking too much after the phrase. I'm just asking, because last time. I'm not trying to be difficult, I promise. It's just that. I just want to make sure I understand because I've heard. Stop. The phrase does the work. What you add after, it does not help you. It gives the officer more information to work with, more threads to follow, more reasons to keep the conversation going in a direction you did not choose. Say the phrase, then be quiet. Let the question sit. Let them answer. Do not fill the silence with explanations they did not ask for. Every extra word is a door you are opening voluntarily. Now, there is one more part. And this is the part almost nobody talks about. What if it is already too late? What if you already opened the door? What if you already said, sure, come in, without thinking about it? What if the conversation has already moved from the porch to the hallway, and you are standing there realizing you never asked a single question? Most videos about this topic end before this moment. This one does not. Because the moment after the mistake is exactly when people need the most guidance and receive the least.
Do not panic. Do not grab anything. Do not start talking fast. Say this calmly. I want to cooperate. I did not intend to consent to a search. What authority are you operating under?
Then stop. Do not escalate. Do not accuse. Do not physically interfere with anything. Your job at this moment is not to win the encounter at the door. Your job is to preserve the record. Remember the exact words that were exchanged. Remember the exact moment the door opened and who was standing where. Write it down the moment you are safely alone. Every detail. The time, the number of officers, what was said, what wasn't said, whether you were told there was a warrant, whether you invited anyone in. Memory fades fast. The record you create in the next hour matters more than anything you try to argue in the next 30 seconds. This does not guarantee a legal outcome. Nothing in this video guarantees a legal outcome. But a clear record of what happened, especially a record of what you did and did not consent to, is the foundation of everything that comes after. Protect the record, not the ego, not the argument, the record. The street is not the place to win. The record is what gives you options later. Let me show you what these two paths look like in a real moment. It is 9:30 at night. Living room light is on. You are home alone. There's a knock at the door, and when you look through the window you can see the uniform, the patrol car at the curb, the flashlight at low angle. Your pulse goes up. Your first instinct is to just open the door and get it over with. To be polite, to cooperate, to make the discomfort end. You do not touch the handle. You move to the door and you speak through it. Am I required to open this door? There is a pause on the other side, a short one. The officer explains there has been a complaint from a neighbor and they would like to ask a couple of questions. You crack the door to the chain. I'm happy to speak with you. What specifically is the concern? The conversation is brief. It stays at the threshold. At no point do you invite anyone in. At no point do you open the door fully. The encounter ends. You close the door. You write down everything you remember. That is what a correct prevention looks like. Not dramatic, not confrontational, just informed. That is the first path. Now the second. Same night. Same knock. But this time, you move on instinct. You pull the door open before you have thought about it. Fully open. And the officer is standing a step away. And there is no chain between you. You realize immediately that you did not ask anything. The door is already open. The moment has already shifted. You did not freeze. You did not slam the door. You do not start over explaining. You say, "I'm happy to speak with you." Before we go further, can I ask what specifically brings you here tonight? The officer answers. If the answer is vague, you say, "I understand. I want to cooperate correctly. Can you be more specific about the reason?" If the officer asks to come inside, you say, "I'm not comfortable with that right now. I want to cooperate with you at the door." You cannot unopen the door, but you can still ask. You can still set the terms of what happens next. Recovery is not the same as prevention, but it is still possible. The door is already open. You cannot close it, but you can still ask. You can still keep the conversation at the threshold. You can still make sure that every step forward is asked for, not assumed. The situation is not over just because it didn't start perfectly. What matters now is every decision from this moment forward. Here is something I need to say clearly before we finish. What I am describing is not anti-police behavior. An officer who is doing their job correctly, with a real reason, operating lawfully, responding to a real situation, has no problem with a calm question at the door. A citizen who asks, "Am I required to open this door?" is not obstructing anything. They are participating in a system that functions better when both sides know what is being asked and why. This is not about distrust, it is about clarity. Clarity protects everyone in the encounter, not just the person inside the house. Knowing this does not make you difficult, it makes you prepared. And a prepared citizen is not a threat to a good encounter. They are a participant in one. Blind compliance is not respect, it is vulnerability. Real respect, the kind that actually serves everyone in that moment, comes from a citizen who is calm, visible, cooperative, and clear. That combination does not inflame an encounter, it stabilizes one. You are not the enemy of the officer at your door by asking a reasonable question. You are a citizen who understands that the system works better when both parties know what they are doing and why.
The 6 words, "Am I required to open this door?" Vague answer, use the follow-up. Irritation, stay steady. 3 mistakes, wrong tone, moving while asking, over-explaining.
Do not say the phrase with an attitude. Do not move while you are saying it. Do not add 6 extra sentences after it. And if it is already too late, if the door is already open, state clearly what you did and did not consent to. Do not escalate and protect the record. Those 3 rules cover almost every version of this encounter you will ever face. If this video reached you before anything happened, share it with someone who lives alone. Share it with someone who would open that door before thinking twice. Share it right now, because the best moment to learn this is not in the middle of it. The person who needs this the most is probably someone who has never thought they needed it. If you have been through this, if you have stood at your door and had this exact encounter, comment what happened after the first question. Those details matter more than you know. They are how the rest of us learn what we are not being taught. Your experience is information, and information is what this channel exists to share.
I didn't record this to make you afraid of a knock. The phrase keeps what most people give away, your voice, your record, your clarity, in the one moment that matters most.
That is worth protecting. And now you know how.